LifeLock, how can I help?
The IRS said I
filed my return,
but I haven't.
1 in 4 tax-paying Americans has paid the price of identity fraud.
What do I do?
My refund, though. I'm freaking out.
Don't worry, I can fix this.
LifeLock fixes identity theft guaranteed and gets your money back with up to $3 million in coverage.
I'm so relieved.
No problem. I'll be with you every step of the way.
1 in 4 was a fraud-paying American. Not anymore. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
Rated mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? It's time for the final countdown. The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's rock.
Broadcasting from the Big Peach of Atlanta, Georgia. A show unfiltered, unscripted, raw. The Patriot Angle Podcast.
Elon Musk has bought Twitter for approximately $44 billion. He's going to be paying each share of Twitter $54.20 in a statement released by the company.
To see it all exposed. Let's start there and then move forward with actually making it a free speech platform. I think this is going to be excellent. It still remains to be seen. We hope that he will keep to his promise of returning it to a marketplace of ideas, but we're going to have to wait and see how it shakes.
Alrighty, guys, welcome to tonight's show. Welcome, episode 248, part 2 of the conversation with the author of Terror Strikes, Joseph M. Lenard. Welcome back, sir. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Although now that I see this is episode 248, I should have went out and played the 3-digit lottery with that number, huh?
I hear you, sir. Hey, you never know. You might become a billionaire like Elon Musk, right?
Right. Yeah. Well, that would take the super lotto, and I don't think the jackpot unfortunately gets up to $1 billion. But if I could get $1 billion, I could maybe team up with the Koch brothers to buy Fascist Book now that Elon's taken over Twitter.
I hear you. I just want to, that's very, very funny. I want to basically bring in Jimmy the Rant here. He will be joining us momentarily. He's getting prepped up here on his end. But Joseph, I want to say, how is the book sales doing on the internet?
Well, we just got started selling this month. So unfortunately, the systems lag way behind in the actual report. So I'm going to assume they're going swimmingly because, of course, everyone that listens or watches the Patriot Angle is going to want to buy Terror Strikes Coming Soon to a City Near You, because it's not just about Islamic fundamentalists, which I call Geisha, and you'll want to read the book to understand why. It's about those who hate America, which means it also includes sections on fascocrats, as I call them, who also hate America. And since we're going to be talking about free speech today and not the cry fire in a crowded theater nonsense, which is covered on page 19 in my book, among many other sub-themes. But pathetical corruptness, as I call it. I don't call it political correctness. There's nothing correct about it. It's pathetical corruptness. And that's also on page 72 in the love versus fake hate scam and hoaxes chapter that the left pulls.
Right. Yeah, I totally agree with you, Joseph. To be honest with you, sir, I actually I think I mentioned with you on the last episode with part 1 that we actually bought the book, the hardcover book from Amazon.
Soft copy.
And I read it.
Yeah, it's available in soft copy. I didn't do the hardcover because that adds a lot of costs, and I wanted to be cost conscious. Most books come out in soft copy now.
Absolutely.
Save the reader some money, Money's tight.
Yeah. Especially in today's times, money is very, very tight. The inflation we're starting to see improve a little bit. The numbers are starting to go down a little bit. With gas prices here in Metro Atlanta, we've seen them go down, 40, 50 cents a little bit. So, things are improving. But under this corrupted administration of Joe Biden, things are, still bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I doubt that will be a permanent trend. We have only seen like a 10, 15 cent drop in gas prices here in Michigan. So I think you're pretty lucky. And we even have a Marathon refinery here in Detroit. So, our oil is refined to gas locally to get it to the stations. So we usually are a little less expensive than a lot of other places. So I don't understand why ours hasn't dropped as much as yours has. And I willing to bet it's only temporary. It will go back up again like the cost of everything is.
Oh, sure. Joseph, before we went on the show, you did mention here in the green room that you wanted to discuss the latest on Elon Musk buying Twitter.
Yes.
And what's your thoughts on that, sir?
Well, I am only, I'm not a huge fan of Elon because of the whole, from a conservative standpoint, a lot of the money he's glommed onto has become taxpayer money through subsidies for electric vehicles. So I'm not a big fan as far as that goes, but he does seem to be somewhat of a libertarian. So, that's a plus. And since he got into a Twitter war with one of the co-creators of the Matrix and the whole red pill meme, that people don't understand is where the genesis of him being so pissed off with Twitter goes back to, and why he insisted he was going to get Twitter by hook or by crook. And this is a personal thing for me because I'm part of a group called the Mighty 200, which is part of the group back in 2016, and you can still look this up, that Politico targeted on Twitter, and Hillary retweeted the article. 200 out of 320 plus million Americans, we were the ones targeted on Twitter for the start of the Russian collusion delusion. They tried to call us Russian assets and Russian bots. It was the whole start of that false narrative. They tested the waters. They saw their moronic sheep were willing to go down that, path, and then tried to glom that onto Trump as a Russian asset. And you see the Russia hysteria still going on, even though Hillary and the DNC were fined over the fake Russian dossier and violations of campaign finance law. though somebody should be in jail under the RICO statutes, not just fined. The left still refuses to acknowledge the hoax and still screaming Russia, Russia, Russia. Now all of a sudden, Elon Musk is a Russian asset. And I was just joking with somebody on Twitter a few minutes before joining the show. She kind of joked about, Elon, we all know Elon's a Russian commie. And I said back, no, he's actually an AI robot produced by the Russians. You know, like the old original Westworld series. Was it the second or the third film where they made AI bots to replace world leaders? So I was just joking about that before coming on.
Yeah, I agree. I think Jimmy had some comments here relating to what you're discussing. Jimmy, you got any insights, sir?
Hey, what's up, guys? How's it going, Joe? Just jumping
Jimmy.
in.
Good to meet you, Jimmy. And I want your nickname, Jimmy the Rant. I want to steal the Rant for my nickname.
It was given to me, so you kind of got
it. It was. Yeah, let me add in there. It was given to him because he is full of great rants there, Joseph.
He's the Eddie Van Halen of rants, huh?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say that. I guess maybe it's the way I deliver things, right? When I speak about these things, I have a passion for it because it's important that people listen to this type of content, right? And they get this kind of information because there's a war on information right now. And obviously whoever controls the flow of information controls what's going on, in the world. So I'm a free thinker and I like to, I like to discuss with other free thinkers. So, and
I agree with you. The control of flow of propaganda. Journalism is dead. And my third chapter of Terror Strikes Coming Soon to a City Near You delves into that. The whole there's no such thing as a real journalist anymore. They're all opinionists.
Absolutely. And I think that, going back to Twitter, a lot of people, obviously the left is up in an uproar, right? And when you really think about it, the comment that he made after he purchased it, like, I hope even my worst critics stay here, it says a lot because it also, what they do is when they don't agree with something, then they want to throw the word shill, or like you said, oh, he's a Russian, commie, a Russia, or he's a fascist. So the left has to kind of make up their mind whether he's an individual that, cares about renewable energy, or is he a fascist, or is he, I seen an article the other day by Sean King. He does a lot of, BLM type of posts, and he supports a lot of those groups, and he speaks on their behalf to an extent, and his comments on Twitter were, well, of course, Elon Musk wants to buy Twitter because it's all about white supremacy. He was raised during apartheid in South Africa, so with a white nationalist father. So of course he wants to buy it, and it's like, that's the mindset. Anytime something happens or there's any kind of movement, they have to shift their focus on one thing and bring it right back into this and bring race into it, or sexuality, or, it's crazy.
Yeah. And now that you've brought race into this, it's important to note Sean King is a complete and utter fraud, just like that Dolezal. Can't remember what her last name was.
Rachel Dolezal.
Yeah, Rachel Dolezal. Sean King is born to two white parents. He's a white kid pretending to be black to cash in on the BLM movement, just like Rachel Dolezal, thank you for reminding me of her full name, is frauds. They're all frauds on the left.
Yeah, and let me add, Joseph, as you could hear Jimmy speaking, he does join me on Tuesdays sometimes on the podcast that he joins me via through the telecast here up in New Jersey. So Jimmy from the state of New Jersey, and he follows politics pretty well. I just wanted to, throw that little mention in there, that viewpoint. Jimmy knows his stuff,
So, Jimmy, we all know Murphy stole this last election. Just like the 2020 fraud election, they stopped counting in New Jersey around midnight, and miraculously at 2 a.m. Eastern time, they announced, oh, we found a bunch more votes for Murphy. Wow, what a miracle. The Democrat won again.
I mean, that's what has plagued the country since the 2020 election, right? Yeah. Every Democratic run city or blue state had similar issues. I'm not going to contest it. I would say that if anything, it was probably a close race in New Jersey, because who am I kidding to not to go against saying that, we're not a blue state. We're 100% a blue state. I do think that obviously there's been a lot of voter fraud, and and it definitely, I would on a hunch say that it happened here in New Jersey. Especially with that election.
Yeah, we need to add, and the reason why is the lot shifted to Republican. And again, there's a big difference between necessarily conservative and Republican. And the RNC didn't really support, was it Cicinelli, or how do you pronounce his name?
It was Jack Ciattarelli. And
Ciattarelli, yes, thank you. I can't remember how to pronounce his name. But they didn't want to support him because he is a conservative. And otherwise, if it would have been a rhino, they probably would have challenged that election. Well, and had they supported him a little more, he probably would have won, just like Virginia. Oh, now I'm drawing a blank on his name.
Well, let me add this here. We're talking about New Jersey, right? Murphy's state there. The liberalism up in New Jersey. Since Elon Musk takeover of Twitter literally just happening earlier today. Do you think all the liberals there in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, New York, that whole tri-state area, do you think for a second of a doubt that Musk is going to put more restrictions on some of this wokeness on Twitter? What's your viewpoint on that, Jimmy?
Well, I mean, I hope he doesn't, because I'm not a fan of censoring people in the first place. So if you have a difference of in opinion than I do, then I have a couple different choices. I could respect your opinion and disagree with you, or I could leave. I can go to another platform or not want to listen to it. I don't.
Right. I mean, you got platforms such as Rumble. You got, Donald Trump's new platform, which is doing phenomenal. The liberals are literally, having a fucking meltdown. Right. I mean, it's terrible. Right, Joseph. I mean, True Social out there with the platforms of Rumble, Twitch, now the reformation of Twitter becoming more of an advocate for free speech. Is Facebook literally going to be, kissing the ass, so to speak, of these other platforms?
Well, that's a good question, but definitely, I am on. I still do post some to YouTube, but they censor. So, I mean, Google still shadow bans my conservative articles that I used to write for Red State, and I now put my articles at beforeitsnews.com. So they shadow ban me.
Joseph, you can relate to that very easily. I mean, we discussed that in part one of this podcast, right? With you being censored pretty heavily, right, with your content.
Yes. So I'm also on Vimeo, but they censor to some degree too. So Rumble and Brighteon, I'm part of those. I'm also on, as far as social media, Twitter. I never left because no, I will not concede any ground. I will stay, I will fight. but I'm also on Gab and MeWe and locally Nextdoor, Locals, Getter, Parler, Spreely.
Yeah.
Others. Cloud Hub, on and on and on. I'm on them all.
Yeah, the fucking patriot right here, Jimmy. Right?
Absolutely. And listen, I hope that that whatever happens, that after he's fully acclimated with Twitter, I hope they ease up on some restrictions. Obviously, like I said, I don't like anyone kind of creating their own. What is free speech and what isn't, because then you go down exactly what we've been going down for the last 10 years or even longer with the signing of the Patriot Act, is when you have a group of individuals or one person that says what is free speech and what isn't, then obviously we march down the road of tyranny. So I would hope that he does lessen up on restrictions, and I hope that he doesn't I would hope that he encourages the people who work at Twitter, the employees that work at Twitter, not to follow suit with what YouTube and me and Mike were talking about the other day. With they can go back and ban you on YouTube from a video 5 years ago, and hopefully he eases up on that. Obviously, we want to make sure that people are safe and harassment is not there. So I would still expect them to make sure that they take threats seriously and stuff like that. But we'll see. We'll see. My biggest thing is let's see if he reinstates Trump's Twitter. I'd be interested. I don't think he'd come back, but I'd be curious.
Well, he won't come back right away because, he has too much of a financial interest in Truth Social. And to be honest, I haven't wasted my time joining Truth Social yet. For one, it's too early. They aren't even available on Android or for PC. I do my social media through my Windows laptop. I'm not messing with that on my phone. So
Joseph, right. They're very early in the stages. What are they, like only 2 months in? Like you said, they're only on Apple. They're not even on the Google Play Store yet. So they're still testing the waters out, so to speak. Joseph, did they even break 100 million subscribers yet on Truth Social yet?
No, it will take time. There was a lot of people who were anxious to get on, but again, Getter was the same way. Getter launched before they were ready, and I think Truth Social launched before it's ready. I'll wait a year. After a year, they should be able to work out all the bugs and be available on all the platforms. But as far as what Jimmy said about easing up on restrictions at Twitter, I think that's true, but it is still a privately held company, even though it's publicly traded, although Elon's making it fully private now. They have the right to have terms of service. They will loosen up on the censorship, but like Jimmy said, threats, like the Ayatollah, has got to go. You don't get to chant "Death to America." That is a threat. That still should be banned.
You're damn right. It's a threat, and you should be labeled as a domestic terrorist if you live in this country. Labeling "Death to America." That's terrible. Get thrown in Gitmo prison for your actions. I think people need to start getting accountable, right?
Absolutely. What do you say, Jimmy?
Yeah. The sad part is obviously we've seen the last couple of years really kick up to where being part of the Patriot movement can hurt you financially, can hurt your status in society because of the left's tactics to cancel and dox you. So, I think what's going on now is they're getting a little nervous when they start to see people like a Musk buying Twitter, and they start to see everyone kind of abandoning ship and going to these other platforms that are right leaning, because companies are starting to feel it, because the people that are paying for subscriptions, the people that are putting money in, are usually right leaning. You have a large base of people on the left that are losers. They're bums. They're not paying for anything. They're not putting money into anything. What they're doing is they're bitching and complaining online or in person. I'm breathing. What do I get? Right? That's like I'm a socialist. I'm a communist now, right? That's what they walk around saying to each other with green hair and nose piercings and stuff like that. And they go, well, what do I get for just being here, right? Shouldn't I get something?
Exactly.
And those people aren't contributing. So these big companies are starting to see like, holy shit, there's a shift now where people are leaving us because we sided with woke culture. They decided to take their money out of our subscription, out of our platform, out of our content. And now they're starting to see the repercussions of it.
It's the opposite of JFK and ask not what you can do for your country, or ask not what your country could do for you, but what you could do for your country. And they want to take it a step further to the communist China social credit score. So conservatives literally wouldn't be able to get loans.
Yeah, that's some good stuff, guys. I just heard from producer Eric. We do have to go to a commercial break. But, guys, on the podcast right now, you are hearing the author of Terror Strikes, Joseph M. Lenard, giving his insights, a lot of content coming out of his book and a lot of his personal viewpoints. Guys, we'll be right back after these words. Don't touch the dial.
Some major flip-flopping people should not be walking around with masks. Masks work. Fully vaccinated, you are protected, and you do not need to wear a mask. If you are vaccinated, you should still wear a mask.
You really better be very careful before you bring the children back. The default position should be to try as best as possible to keep the children in school.
Right now, at this moment, there is no need to change anything that you're doing on a day-by-day basis. I would like to see a dramatic diminution of the personal interaction that we see. So let me clarify that, because there was a little bit of a misunderstanding.
The fake news, big tech, and blue state liberals stole the election from President Trump. But here in Alabama, we're making sure that never happens. We have not and will not send absentee ballots to everyone and their brother. We banned the corrupt curbside voting, and our results will always be audited. I'm KIV. The left is probably offended. So be it. As long as I'm governor, we're going to protect your vote.
All righty, guys. Welcome back to the show. We got Jimmy the Rant joining us with special guest part 2 of the conversation with the author of Terror Strikes, Joseph M. Lenard. Joseph, I want to get into some more of your content in your book, if you don't mind. Right around chapter 4, the book seems to get a little interesting. You want to elaborate to the listeners just exactly, maybe if they haven't read the book, if that's okay with you, get a little sneak peek?
Sure. That's, chapter 4 is titled Tulsa, and it follows chapter 3, which I briefly mentioned before about propaganda and lack of journalism, called LLD, which is Arabic for propaganda. But Tulsa starts to get into the terrorism aspects of the factual terrorism aspects of the book, and an incident that happened around Tulsa that, well, I don't want to give the chapter away.
Right. I meant, I was going to say, if you want to give a little sneak peek, I mean, don't give the whole damn chapter away. But.
The chapter opens with the teaser, "The complacency of fools will destroy them," from Proverbs 132. And you've got to live life, but you've got to know what's going on around you. And, the chapter is prescient. And, and I'm not saying that to be prideful or have hubris and, and really try to push the book. But chapter 4 really is prescient. And I'll tell you why. The Bin Laden stash of information that we got when O'Neill killed bin Laden, and O'Neill killing bin Laden is in the book also. But when they killed bin Laden in Islamabad, they got hard drives and stashes of paper, and bin Laden's own handwritten notes talks about stepping up rail attacks in the United States. So chapter 4 is prescient to what bin Laden was planning for America next, a 9/11 rail attack.
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, I've read some of it, some of that in your book. And I mean, Joseph, you cover a lot of great material. Your book kind of resembles a lot of other books I read, including, Stop the War by Michael Savage. You fit into that ballpark, so to speak, of political, what's the word? You more or less fit into your own category, so to speak, of political books.
Yeah, there's only a few of us. I like to say this book is like no other, and it really is. And one of the reasons why is there's usually a formula you're supposed to follow when writing a book. I took that formula, walked it to my bedroom, put it through the shredder.
Really?
This book doesn't follow the formulas. And it delves into a lot of sub-themes like you alluded to. It is not just about terrorism. And like I said earlier, it's about those who hate America, including American fascocrats. And like Jimmy was talking about, yelling and screaming fascism, it's all psychological projection from the left. They are fascists. They literally have Antifa roaming the streets, burning, rioting, looting, attacking political opponents, just like Hitlerian brown shirts and El Duce black shirts did in the 1930s. They are devoid of history to understand they are the fascists. And like I cover in the book too, there are actually 28 planks of the National Socialist Deutschland Arbeiter Party platform of the 30s in modern day Democrat Party platform. They are truly fascist. There's no denying it, from gun control to supposed health care, and it's not about health care. Socialized medicine is about power and control, and controlling you, saying that if you don't go along with what they want you to go along with, they'll deny medical care from your spouse or your children. It's all about coercion.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting, part of the conversation you're talking about right now. Jimmy and I had the utmost honor talking to somebody on the show here relating that about medicine. Remember, Jimmy, we had PJ Agnes of Archangel Protective Intelligence a few episodes back, and we got into medicine and everything else. Remember that show there, Jimmy?
Yeah, it was a good conversation with him. I think a lot of the people you bring on are very interesting. So, I would say that, let me ask you a question, Joe. Wait, did I say Joe? Yeah. Sorry. You ever read Behold the Pale Horse?
No, I've not read that.
I would say, because I'm going to give you a book, I got to give you a book a read, right? I just kind of found out about it recently, so I will be picking it up offline. But I would say give that a read. I think you'd really enjoy it. It's by William Cooper, who is like, the granddaddy of conspiracy. I wouldn't say conspiracy, but actually putting pen to paper, kind of like what you're doing. Might be a very interesting thing for you to pick up and look at. But I'll definitely be giving your book a read and going through it and seeing what I can get out of it.
Yeah, I will. I have a few books already on my list for next year because, as you can imagine, I'm busy promoting this book now. That's taking the majority of my time. I don't have time really to read much at this point. There's a few really good ones out there. in addition to mine, obviously, that people really need to pick up and read to get the more in-depth behind-the-scenes stuff they're not getting on the daily news and will never get.
Yeah. Joseph, you were just on a show not too long ago with a pastor. It was a radio show, correct? Was it about a couple weeks ago, maybe, possibly close to a month ago, where they actually had you on their radio show podcast? And what was up with that little side joke? I was listening to it. There was a side joke. Do you remember when they had said that?
No, I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Something to do with his wife or something. You had made a kind of a side note to his wife or something, saying about you promoting your book. And it was on the it wasn't the author show, because we do realize that you were on the author show, and really, really good show, by the way. Hat tip to the author show. But you were on this show, and they made a joke towards the book because I was like, wait, he's promoting his book on the show, and they got to make a joke about it. Like, what's up with that, man?
Well, hey, you got to laugh at yourself, right? We got to keep a sense of humor, and there's a chapter in there called Comic Relief about that. So I don't remember that particular joke. I do remember the joke from another podcast. I don't remember which one it was, and they asked, "Tell me a little about yourself," and I joked about, I'm the anti-Dos Equis guy. I'm the least interesting man on the planet. Oh, and another one was, what's the best advice you were given? Maybe that was the question. And I joked, well, I want to turn that around and say the best advice is
that's the joke I'm referring to. Yeah.
And I said, remember,
yes, sir.
Remember, things can always be better, but they can often be worse. But to answer your question, the other best advice was don't eat the yellow snow. That's the only other joke I remember.
Yeah.
Good advice to give.
Yeah.
Really, speaking of advice, Joseph, we have a really, really good friend here on this show from U.S. Freedom Fighters, which if you're not familiar with U.S. Freedom Fighters, Jimmy can elaborate for you a little bit if he wants. But we actually have a video here we'll plug in from Jerry, which is the one of the co-founders of this great organization, which, by the way, is doing phenomenal on social media. Always love plugging them into the show because not only are they a good friend of the show, but they share a lot of your related material as well, too, Joseph. So this is Jerry from U.S. Freedom Fighters, basically plugging in some of his content towards some of the stuff that you're relating to right now on the show. Check this out.
Hey, guys. Jerry with U.S. Freedom Fighters. How y'all doing today? It's a wonderful, beautiful Saturday here in sweet Alabama. Just wanted to come spend a few minutes with you. After I get done talking, I'm going to add some video clips to this that we took today at a festival called Earth Day that they have here at Hayes Nature Preserve in Alabama. It's a great thing for family and kids. They talk about conservation, wildlife, being out in the woods, leaving no trace. They talk about, different bees, talk about honeybees, a lot of great information. One thing I was excited to see is they had a trailer set up where they go around and do classes called Water Wheel. And they do a lot of training on water collection. So it was pretty cool to see that. And one thing I want to point out too, yes, learn how to survive on your own, but get out and support your community too. Get involved with these things, get to know people. You never know when you may have to depend on them. These are the kind of things we want to you to understand it, freedom fighters. Yes, we want you to be independent, but we want you to network too. And besides, when we get out and do things like this, like the guys with Water Wheel, I talked with them about some of the things we do here at U.S. Freedom Fighters, and they were tickled to death. Wouldn't let me leave until they got my contact information. And, heck, I thought he was going to follow us back out to the parking lot, to be honest about it, and want to continue to talk.
Yeah, that clip, by the way, Joseph, was about almost roughly about 5 minutes. I didn't want to plug too much into it, but I mean, this guy, they're huge advocates for freedom here in this country. They also are huge advocates with survival traits and also stockpiling. They're also a good advocate in preaching, you should never think anything cannot happen to you. So hat tip to U.S. Freedom Fighters. Love you guys. Love to see you back on the show.
Jerry's a good guy. I'm a part of the group. Yeah, you can go to usfreedomfighters.com and take a look at the website. But there's a lot of good content, a lot of good information that's disseminated between people in that group. A lot of prepping. And everything's by state, so there's state excuse me, there's groups, individual groups for the states, and then there's one for the East Coast, West Coast, and there's a lot of good people to meet when you join organizations like that. So he's a good guy. He's a really smart individual. He makes a lot of good content on prepping.
Exactly. You do have to be prepared. It's like I said on the last show, live your life, but you can't be an ostrich at the same time. You've got to be aware what's going around you. If a train is barreling down the tracks and the horn toots and the ostrich buries its head in between the rails, isn't going to stop it from being bowled over by what's coming just because it no longer sees and hear it coming down the tracks, ready to run it over.
Yeah, Joseph, I think you're quoting a quote that delusional Joe Biden had said, with the train. Remember that quote where he says, there's a train going down the rails, but we don't understand how far this train is going to reach its next station. I heard that quote. You know what I'm talking about, right? He said this like about a month, maybe 2 months ago.
Yeah.
I'm like, listening to myself. I'm like, come on, Joe. If you're going to say a joke, man, say the joke right, He
can't even get through his speech impediment. The guy is not fit. Not only is he not fit to be president, he's not fit to really do much. At this point, he's probably wearing a diaper.
Yeah, the man never really had it, but what little he had is completely lost now. Seriously, he's fodder for the late night comedians on a daily basis. But unfortunately, of course, other than maybe like Greg Gutfeld on the Gutfeld show, they're all leftists. They won't cover any of it. SNL made endless fun of fellow Michigander Gerald Ford, who was president, who stumbled once, and they wouldn't let it go on Saturday Night Live. And Biden fell up the stairs, nowhere to be seen. He pulled the Gerald Ford, and that's nowhere to be seen. And he bumbles and stumbles through sentences every day, screws up the language. Nothing on Saturday Night Live nothing that I would know of because I don't watch them. But if they did it, it would be news, and Greg Gutfeld would be showing the clips because it would be a rarity if they did it.
Well, I think it goes to show you what the fourth branch of the government has become, and it's the propaganda sector, and they are using their influence any way they can. So, and they know that satire is actually something that spreads further. It spreads information. So comedians and those types of improv shows actually spreads information faster than even us talking right now. So they know that hurts, and they put the kibosh on things like that. And they phone their buddies over here in high places and say, hey, can you lay off this for a little while? Hey, let's not do anything like this for a little bit. And you could talk about the Orange Man, don't talk about Sleepy Joe. And
here, Jimmy.
Sure.
See, Jimmy, the left, apparently it doesn't phase these platforms. Like you got CNN, you got ABC's The View. I mean, when they talk about Trump, it's okay. Right, the Orange Man, right, the man that tweets till 2-3 o'clock in the morning. But when you mention a flaw about Biden, it's apparently it's wrong. Like, why are you saying so much mean things about this president? He's doing tremendously for our country. He's been the best president we've had in the last 20 years.
Yeah, when you talk about a Democrat president, it's, don't you respect the office of the presidency? At least, it's nonsense. And like Jimmy said, and some on the right are finally waking up to the fact. And I wrote an article on Red State called Getting the Message Out like 10, 12, 15 years ago about this very point. Like the Greg Gutfelds and the Jesse Waters finally demonstrating and adding humor to things, because that gets through a lot of people's defenses. Whereas if you're trying to deliver something in a serious way, they tone you out. But if you can deliver it with humor, it gets past their defenses. And we need to learn that lesson that the left knew for a long time. You do it through comedy. And that's, again, why there's a chapter, Comic Relief, in my book.
Yeah. Yeah, we all need a little comical relief in our lives. But when you're looking at high offices of the president of the United States, that has to, ping on that one. That has to basically look at extreme measures. You cannot have a president of the United States. OK, and let me be frank, folks. Let's set the standard straight here. Yeah, we did have a president before Biden that was doing things a little bit, off script and probably not president type material. Right. But he really was like, he really had a backbone. Right. He had muscle behind his voice. What I'm saying right now is you cannot have a president that doesn't know what the hell is going on, that doesn't know that the sky is blue and, this is that and that is this. You have to have this man constantly be reminded of where to go. Okay, Joe, you can't sit at the podium yet. The show hasn't started. Folks, don't get your popcorn yet. The show hasn't started. The movie's still in previews still. That's what this president reminds me of. A 5-year-old child that has to be constantly reminded.
Yeah, well, I hate to correct you on your own show, but I do. The sky actually is not blue. The sky is black. It only appears blue because of the reflection of the sun off all the water. So I love to stick it to people when they say the sky is blue.
I was about to tell you, Joseph, what kind of drugs are you smoking over there? I mean,
you gotta stop spreading disinformation on the show about the sky being blue.
Absolutely.
I'm very, very sorry. YouTube out there, the independent fact checkers in the basement are going to be coming out like, Joseph said the sky is black. It's blue. What the hell are you talking about? Yeah.
I will say, though, I will say there's one show that I do watch, that I do catch every so often, and I enjoy it still. It's with Bill Maher. I will say, as him being, he calls himself an old school liberal, he's not afraid to call out the bullshit that he sees with the intolerant left. So it's kind of refreshing when you see, people that you don't necessarily agree with 100% calling out, people on their side and getting back to it, because on our side, I'm quick to call somebody out for their bullshit too. especially like rhinos. You know what I mean? Those are probably the biggest problem with the GOP. They're just, just Republican in name, and they really offer nothing.
Absolutely. We need a conservative wave in 2022 and 2024, not just some generic rhino red wave. And
well, like I say, Joseph, here, if I may cut in, we have to look at this next election, right? The midterms are right around the corner, right? Which the left is literally losing it. If they're not losing it about the Elon Musk Twitter story, they're about to lose it even further with the midterms, because they know they're going to lose the House. They're going to lose this. They're going to lose everything. They know that there's a strong GOP approach coming to the midterms. They know that.
Absolutely. And I forgot what else Jimmy had said I was going to respond to, but yeah. Going back to trains, my train left the station and I'm at the shipyard.
Well, I think we may actually see, and there's been a lot of buzz about it. We might actually see the 25th Amendment used, and because I kind of feel that for the first year and a half of the presidency, they were kind of propping up Biden. They weren't really putting him out there. They were really managing, what he was doing, trying to keep him out of the limelight when he was blundering. And now I almost feel like they're feeding him to the wolves, because when you look at the way things are being recorded or the way that the media is portraying it, they show a frail old man. He's in a room by himself being ignored while, everybody's like giddy over Obama, or they show him giving fucking handshakes out to ghosts, or they show him at the Easter festivities on the White House lawn, where he's like rambling about Pakistan and Afghanistan, and then the bunny comes in and kind of moves.
Yeah, I was about to tell you, Jimmy. Did you see the bunny? The bunny is even trying to tell him where to go next.
That's it. It's time for you to move on, because they all know that they have to handle him, because if not, he's not making any sense. So I honestly feel like the big buzz is that once we get past the midterms, they're going to authorize the 25th Amendment and say, hey, he was he's been a good boy for us for the past 40 years, basically doing nothing, but he's been part of the agenda, and we salute him, and he's too sick, and he's going to kind of fade out of the spotlight, and then he's going to step down. And I think we might see that. I honestly do, considering every time you see him in the spotlight nowadays, it's getting worse and worse and worse. It's like it's your grandparent who has dementia or Alzheimer's, and you just like kind of propping them up there. And if you let them go off script, they don't know. They just start mumbling, and we see that a lot from him. And it just shows a lot of these other countries, how weak a weak presence that we have. Not saying that there's not people behind him, but I mean, it really gives us a negative light.
Yeah, just what we need, though, is President Cackles to fill in next. And you were talking about dementia. That is something very serious and near and dear to me, because my mother just passed last July suffering from Alzheimer's. So you can't tell me Joe Biden isn't mentally diminished capacity. It's obvious. Anyone who's ever dealt with actual dementia in their family knows this man is ill. He is actually really, truly ill and needs medical help, not just handling him, parading him around. And not to change the subject, but I got to bring this up because I got OAN on in the background here, and they just flashed across the screen. Some idiot, as if inflation, to go back to the top of the show that you talked about, isn't bad enough now. A Washington U.S. House candidate, idiot Democrat, wants to now call for a $30 an hour minimum wage.
Oh my God.
Literally, that just came across the screen a minute ago. if you don't think inflation's bad enough now, wait till that kicks in.
Hey, Joseph, do these idiots know that the more you raise, don't get me wrong, guys. Let me set the standard here. You know, making more money is always great. Without a doubt, it is. Without a shadow of a doubt, it is. It's great. I mean, I make great money too, the podcasting and then my other line of work. But I mean, you know, when you raise the wages across company boards, do you understand what is going to happen after you raise the wage? The prices, they don't understand, Joseph.
Yeah, they don't.
Well, you can't compensate no skill by paying more, and I think that's what they're trying to equate is that, okay, we need a higher minimum wage so that people can afford to live. All right. Well, I think one of the biggest problems is obviously a lot of these people have no skills. So if you're talking about, people who work in the fast food industry, right? If you are in your 30s and 40s working in the fast food industry and you're not management, you're not a supervisor, well, then I don't know what else I could say to you. Like, I'm not knocking you on working. I think it's noble that you're doing it. But if you have no skill and that's just you've only achieved to get that far, then why should anyone pay you? Oh, because when you think about it, all the tools are given to you, right? You're just labor inside those places. So why should I pay you $35 an hour to if you worked at KFC to dunk chicken inside of a timed fryer and then just put it out for display?
Yeah, and
I think that if you want to, really talk about raising wages, I think that's not the subject should be how do we get these people trained to do other things and actually give them a skill set.
Yeah, and it's why all the burger places are going to automated burger flipper robots. And it's not just about your wages, leftist idiots, if there's any listening. It's about the purchasing value of the dollar that keeps declining because of inflation that you're causing. They fail basic economics just like they fail basic biology. Don't understand what a man XX and a woman XY chromosome issues is. All the other genders are mental disorders. They're not legitimate physical things. They are not the party of science. They are the party of anti-science, just like with the mask garbage. A cloth mask doesn't block anything. Next to nothing.
Joseph, we're on that topic here, and just letting everybody know we got about like 10 minutes here left on the show, which I have to take another break here soon. Joseph, what is the definition of a woman?
I don't know. I'm not a biologist, so I guess that makes me qualified for the Supreme Court.
There you go. You got my vote now. I mean, hey. To each his own, right? I mean, guys, this is some good stuff. We got to get another break in here, guys. Jimmy the Rant in the studio here, along with special guest, part 2 of the conversation, the author of Terror Strikes, guys, Joseph M. Lenard on the podcast. Guys, you're not going to want to miss this next set of topics. We'll be right back after these words.
Wait, if it was delivered with Uber Eats, does that mean I can eat it?
It says eat.
It's a diaper.
This tastes bad.
This candle tastes funny.
I'm gonna eat it.
Not bad, but funny.
And thanks to Uber Eats, we don't even know what food is anymore. This isn't food.
We can't eat most of this.
Yeah, we can't eat any of this.
Why, Uber Eats? Why, Uber Eats?
That bag's a liar.
Yeah, I just got so excited.
When we see you enter through our doors, We don't see who you're against or for. Whether tomorrow will be light or dark, all we see in you is a spark. We see your spark in each nod, each smile. We see sparks in every aisle. We see you find a hidden gem and buying diapers at 3 a.m. We see your kindness and humanity, the strength of each community. We've seen more sparks than we can say. About 20 million just yesterday. The more we look, the more we find the sparks that make America shine.
Alrighty, guys, back to the show. Going to be closing it up soon, guys. We got a lot of good topics here on the show. Joseph discussing his book. Jimmy the ranting about usual stuff, right? Guys, it's been a good show. We just got into the inflation. I think we touched on that a little bit of part one there, Joseph, with the inflation, on the show. And that is you do touch a little bit on the inflation in your book. I've seen a little bit of it, not too much, but a little bit.
Yeah, there's a lot crammed in there. And before I forget, obviously, I want to refer people to terrorstrikes.info. And you had mentioned earlier about other interviews I was in. You could go to terrorstrikes.info/interviews and get links to your podcast and links to other interviews that I've been in. But yeah, again, there are many sub-themes in this book. It's not just about terrorism. You know the old saying, don't judge a book by its cover. Well, definitely don't judge this book by its title.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just a label. A lot of people, are kind of confused and baffled when they see a book, such as Terror Strikes. Oh, is it about terrorism? Is it about this and that? No, it's just a label. I mean, you do cover some of world terror, and other material, but it's a label. Just like U.S. freedom fighters, everybody thinks it's a militia, but it's really something entirely different. I think people are so quick, Joseph, to jump to the gun, so to speak, on labels today.
Oh, especially the left. The left, that they have to do that. And of course, the diehard, everything's racist, everything's sexist, everything's homophobic. And speaking of which, the chapter I alluded to earlier when I mentioned pathetical corruptness is in the love versus fake hate chapter. The LGBTQI plus whatever P pedophile mafia wants you to believe that that's a normal thing now, and they are still like less than 1% of all peoples. And the hoaxes, the labeling, racist, sexist, homophobic, and the hoaxes like the Smollett hoax and everything else to try to get those labels to stick to us because they can't deal in substance. They cannot win a factual, truthful, reality-based argument, so they have to go to a deflection.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one big distraction. It really is, Joseph. It's one big distraction, from us learning the actual truth of it all.
Yeah, what I see a lot is when, and I see this on both sides. I see this on our side too. But when you have a lot of these speakers going around the colleges and stuff like that, and I think the biggest thing right now is the gender identity politics going on, right? What is a man? What is a woman? And you'll have you have a lot of speakers going out, and they're like, a woman is X, Y, and Z, and a man is X, Y, and Z, and then they take Q&A from the audience, and you see the kind of insanity that comes out of some of these kids, you know, I'm calling them kids, but some of these young people's mouths and some of their viewpoints. And I know they're young and they have a lot of time to maybe hopefully smarten up. And, you know, everybody does have their own lifestyle. But, I mean, some of the shit they say is mind-boggling, where it's like you said, you know, you can't even ask a simple question anymore. Well, what do you define as a woman? And it's like, oh, well, you know, it goes on to be a dissertation on 100 different things, and I don't think it's that difficult. You know, I do think that.
Well, here, Jimmy, you know, a lot of people they don't practice of what they actually preach. You know, I mean, that's what it boils down to.
Yeah, no, I would agree, and I also think that there's a lot of people just lost out there, and unfortunately, you know, you're getting all these safe spaces to identify as certain things. And there's a reason why a lot of these groups, you know, rally behind trying to make these safe spaces, because society kind of corrects itself here and there. Obviously, somebody might be like, get the hell out of here. You're not a panda bear, or you're not a you know, you're not a pan or some bullshit or whatever, because there's so many issues with pronouns. And I just think that that's kind of what's tearing us apart. And for people to say that there's no mental illness associated with some of those things. And I'm not saying a person who's like, hey, I like people of the same sex, cool. Because I have friends that are in that category and they're normal people, and that's their, you know, but their attraction is of the same sex. But we don't sit down over the dinner table and it's like the whole conversation is about them being gay. You know what I mean? Like, hey, let's sexualize this conversation. It's just normal people, and that seems to be that's their personal life. That's their
like I say, Jimmy, you know, whatever floats your boat, man, you know, but you know, don't try to force that on me, because I grew up in an era of this society where, hey, a man's supposed to be with a woman and a woman's supposed to be with a man. Guys, we got about 2 minutes here. Joseph, I'll give you the floor, sir, if you want to plug it in any of your information, just perhaps if the listeners didn't catch that website that you did mention just a few moments ago. The floor is yours, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's terrorstrikes.info, not .com or anything like that. Terrorstrikes.info. And I just wanted to say, bounce off of what Jimmy was saying and you were alluding to. Now they're talking about pedophilia, though. When you're sexualizing children under the age of 18, any age up to 18, that's statutory rape, that's pedophilia, that is illegal. That's a whole other topic. And they're peddling that, and we discussed that on the last show I was on with you about the Florida law. It's not don't say gay, it's don't peddle sex of any kind or nature on our children.
Well, you know, Joseph, you know, I do got about another minute, so we got to wrap it up here, and I do apologize. I'd love to invite you back on to part 3 if that's okay with you, because, you know, I mean, you get into some really good content, and love to make it a series with you as much as possible, as long as it's okay with you. But, you know, Ron DeSantis here, and I'll close it up real quick. Ron DeSantis, and you're basically answering to what you had just said. Ron DeSantis signed those laws into effect, not to be the mean Ron DeSantis of Florida, right? He signed those laws into effect to protect parents and the children from this woke crap that they're teaching in schools. In my generation, we never learned about transgenderness and everything else. We were learning about our colors, our patterns, our ABCs, how to count to 10 and everything else, and then go outside with our friends and go play kickball. We weren't learning about Mrs. Donaldson. Why does he have a penis when he's supposed to have a vagina? I mean, that's disgusting.
Yep. But that's where we are, and we pay teachers. They're not teachers. They're groomers, and we're paying them more and more money. And ever since Jimmy Carter created the Department of Education at the federal level unconstitutionally, has no business being involved in that. It's a state's issue or a local issue. But ever since Jimmy Carter and the creation of the Department of Education, we slide lower and lower and lower. We used to be like number 2 in the world. We're number 46 in the world now.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, I agree.
As you focus on things of that nature about sexualizing children, you allow for the national IQ to keep slipping, and that's the issue.
Yeah.
The issue is, well, hey, let's not focus on the fact that we have to keep importing people to support our infrastructure with these certain visas from other countries. Instead of building up the people here, it's like, well, let's have them argue over, or let's teach them about 2 daddies and 2 mommies. And I'm not saying that's not something that you may see or a kid may see and have an answer, but that is up to us as parents to be able to disseminate that information.
Absolutely. Amen to that, guys. I don't mean to be rude, but we're losing time here on the network. Joseph, I want to good stuff, Jimmy. I totally agree. I don't mean to cut you off there, buddy, but good stuff, Joseph. I mean, I do agree with both of you guys, and Joseph, I would love to have you on the show again. Tremendous.
Absolutely.
Tremendous material that you do show on the show, sir.
I love talking about conservative values, family values. And again, I too, Jimmy, know people who are gay. I have no problem with someone who is gay. I have a problem who is a gaytivist or a pedophile. Those are different animals.
Absolutely.
And guys, if you want to learn more about Joseph's information here, you can follow him on Instagram, right, Joseph? You want to give him the information?
Yeah, J. Lenard Detroit. Again, there's no O in Leonard. It's Lenard. J. Lenard Detroit across all social media platforms.
Good stuff, Joseph. And we did give you a little ping in the show if you heard the sound effect. Guys, you heard the man himself, the author of Terror Strikes, available all over the place, including Amazon, Amazon Kindle. I believe you're on. You could find the book on Walmart, Target, or anywhere you pick up a book. I'm told the book sales are going through the roof on Amazon. Just about an hour ago, producer Eric said there's only 20 copies left, guys. Pick up the copy. Joseph, you going to have any more copies added onto Amazon?
Oh, absolutely. And if you're anti-Bezos, anti-Amazon, you can go to theindiebook.store if you don't want to support the big ones.
Absolutely. Good stuff. Joseph, thank you. And guys, remember to follow and hit that like button. We are back on YouTube. I guess the influence off of Elon Musk basically had an acceptance rate to welcome us back. But thank you. And soon to be, guys. Yeah, Joseph. And soon to be, we will be streaming live on the Rumble app, probably in about a week. So we'll be having some live videos, which the audio simulated videos that we're doing now will be transferred to video. So if you like to see Joseph and his sexy self, right, on the video, including myself and Jimmy the Rant, we will be on Rumble. So check us out next week. Yes, hang on that one.
Let me get this straight. In 1 week, you'll be ready to rumble.
Thank you, Joseph.
Check us out.
Thanks, guys. Take it easy.
Bye-bye.
You just heard an episode of the Patriot Angle podcast. Remember to follow us on Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon Music, and Audible. Also streaming live on Twitch. Remember to follow and like us, guys, for unfiltered, uncensored, raw content. Also, please head over to www.patriotanglepodcast.com for all your exclusive Patriot Angle podcast content and material, as well as the merchandise website www.patriotunfiltered.com. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next one.